We always think of reaching a goal as this moment of pure triumph, a time to finally kick back and relax. But what if the ultimate achievement, building your own paradise, like Neo Arcadia, wasn't a victory at all? What if it was actually the start of a deep, profound agony? Today we're going to dive into the paradox of Wotan's arrival. Okay, this image right here, this is the key to understanding everything. I want you to really picture it. You're at the absolute peak. You've got the clearest, most incredible view imaginable. But it's not some wide open plateau where you can celebrate. Nope. It's a sharp, tiny, uninhabitable point of ice. The reward for the entire climb is a place where you can't rest, surrounded only by the sound of your own isolation. That right there is Wotan in the Arcadia. And that's really the core question we're going to get to the bottom of here. This isn't about being physically tired. It's about a philosophical, a spiritual state where the very act of arriving means you can never, ever stop moving. You can never find a home again. So let's break down what this really means. Okay, so first things first, we have to understand that Neo Arcadia isn't the finish line, not even close. It's what we could call a false summit. It looks like the destination he was fighting for, but as we're about to see, it's actually just the beginning of his real trial. Now, what's so fascinating here is the brutal contrast this slide lays out. The promise, the dream, was a second Olympus, right? A new home for the gods, a final resting place. But the reality? It's a place of glorious isolation, yeah, but one that's built on the ruins of old ideas. Literally, a desolation of obsolete delusions. The paradise he built is, in fact, a wasteland. So his arrival, then, isn't a homecoming. It's the exact opposite. He becomes the wanderer, this figure who has permanently, definitively shut a door behind him. He's left the herd, the marketplace of common ideas, and there is absolutely no going back. And this act, this slamming of the door on his past, leads him directly into what the source material calls the seventh solitude. And trust me, this is a state that's way more intense than just being lonely. So what is the seventh solitude exactly? Well, it's the most extreme form of isolation you can possibly imagine. It's not about just being physically alone. It's about abandoning every single possible home, rejecting the comfort of belonging to any group, any belief system, or even any style of art. It is total, uncompromised, and terrifying independence. And make no mistake, this isn't some peaceful, zen-like state. The silence he finds is authentic, it's real, but it's heavy, so heavy. It carries the weight of a thunderous verdict. It's that deafening quiet you'd feel after a final judgment has been passed. The noise of the old world, that ruined marketplace, is gone for good. But what's left behind is somehow even more intimidating. But the struggle isn't just with the outside world. The real agony, the real torment, comes from within. And this brings us to the tyranny of his own quest for truth. The very engine that drove him to this point, his own unbreakable will, it completely transforms. It stops being a tool he uses to create and instead becomes a gloomy and passionate taskmaster. He's no longer the master of his own will, he's now its slave. And what does this new taskmaster demand from him? A constant, agonizing push towards what's true, what's real, what lies beneath the surface of everything. It's this relentless compulsion to strip away every single comforting illusion, no matter how beautiful or how necessary it might seem. And you can see how this plays out step by step. First off, he has to reject comfort. Even the incredible beauty of Neo Arcadia is a trap, a garden of Armida offering a sweet oblivion that he just can't afford to fall into. Second, he has to embrace pain. For him, progress isn't measured in joy anymore, but in fresh separations and fresh bitterness. And finally, he's trapped. He's caught in this compulsion, driven towards the exhausting repetition of existence, totally unable to stop. So where does all this lead? It culminates in this final kind of mind-bending paradox of an identity for Wotan, the homeless sovereign. He has all the power in the world, but absolutely nowhere to belong. This condition actually has a name: terrible freedom. Think about it. He is free from everything, from society, from delusion, from comfort, but it's a terrifying state because it offers no new ground to stand on. There is no shore, no place to finally just be. And this quote just nails his predicament perfectly. He's like a ship's captain who has expertly navigated all the treacherous waters near the coast, only to find himself in a completely endless ocean. The danger of the reefs is gone, sure, but so is the safety of the land. There's no going back, ever. So the duties of this kind of sovereign aren't about ruling. They're about enduring. He has to live within that seventh solitude. He has to keep casting these grim glances back at all the beautiful lies he tore down. His only path forward leads not to a promised land, but into a gray wasteland of truth, where he can never, ever settle into a single philosophical home again. Which brings us full circle, right back to where we started, that icy summit and the view from the absolute peak. Now, when we look at this statement again, it just hits differently, doesn't it? The greatest view is that unfiltered, absolute truth he was so relentlessly chasing. But the price of that view is that he can never sit down. He can never rest, never belong, never stop striving under the whip of that taskmaster inside his own head. And this leaves us with the final, really haunting question that Wotan's journey asks all of us. When the quest for knowledge leads you to a peak that's so high and so lonely that you can never come down, was it worth the climb? Is the ultimate truth really worth the ultimate isolation? His story, well, it offers no easy answer.